Welcome, everybody, to Train Tuesday. So glad you could join us. I want to give you a disclaimer, a quick one. This is a pre-recorded recording. This has actually been done earlier because right now I'm just coming back from the Denver show, the Rocky Mountain train show in Denver. So not quite back in the studio yet. So I went ahead and recorded this. So I won't be doing any shout outs tonight, and I won't be doing any Q&A. But I did want to get this information out to you because this is really some important stuff. You're going to want to pay attention. We've got a few Genesis items tonight that we're going to talk about. So without spending too much time on that, let's go ahead and get started with our first item. And we're going to be talking about the Athearn Genesis SD60E. This is a great locomotive, really interesting locomotive. A little bit of background on this locomotive. It's got a long history, actually. It goes all the way back to 1984. EMD had unveiled the first 4 SD60 demonstrator locomotives. The SD60 was equipped with a 3,800 horsepower, 16-cylinder turbocharged 710 G3A. Beginning in early 2010, however, SD60 6653 entered the Juanita shops in Altoona, Pennsylvania, as they would be the first of 240 planned units of the new SD60E capital rebuild program for Norfolk Southern. Now, following in August that same year, SD60s number 6567 and 6576 were retired and destined for the SD60E program that was planned to continue through 2019. Now, mechanically, the original prime mover, a 16-cylinder 710 G3, remained, but was thoroughly rebuilt to a 710 G3B specs and re-rated to 4,000 horsepower. The original shaft-driven air compressor was replaced with a new motor-driven compressor, and an all-new electrical cabinet and wiring coupled with the EMD's EM2000 microprocessor controls was installed, along with the D99 BTR traction motors. A new split cooling system helps the SD60E meet Tier 0 plus emission requirements and reduce fuel consumption by estimated 5% as compared to the older SD60 model. Now, the SD60E's tractive effort is rated at 109,000 pounds, while an unbuilt SD60 is rated at only 96,320 to 100,000 pounds. Externally, most of the SD60's car body remained intact. The program included the installation of a completely new cab, offering crews better crash protection. The original SD60 cab weighed 3,800 pounds compared to the 12,500 pounds for the new cab. A more spacious cab environment is available with this new cab of the SD60E, and this cab was designed by NS with the input from outside consultants and train crews alike. Fabricated by Curry Railroad Supply, a local vendor, it looks unlike anything else on U.S. rails with its pronounced numberboard headlight housing and flat front with a centered cab door. The first unit was finally released for service on November 15, 2010, carrying road number 6900. In March 2011, 6901 was released, followed by 6902 that same year. These 3 units gave the Norfolk Southern mechanical personnel valuable feedback as these units toured the system and during real-life testing. In March of 2012, the 4th SD60E emerged as one of 12 units initially funded for the program. But the pace of remanufacturing process picked up as initial teething problems were addressed, and the units soon met the carrier's expectations and began entering revenue service on a regular basis. The SD60E rebuild program was started in 2010 by Norfolk Southern, using old SD60 units as cores. The earlier units in the rebuild program had oval cab windows, and they were not equipped with PTC antennas, as depicted in these versions that we're showing here next. So this one that I'm showing you on the screen now, this is one that we offered back in August of 2017. They subsequently came into stock about 2018. And it's been a little bit since we've offered these. So we wanted to go ahead and offer these once again. So let's take a look at the road numbers that we're offering on this very unique locomotive. So coming up first is 6908. 6908 has a Nathan K5HR-24 horn. And the next guy in the list 6913. A little bit different. This one's going to have a Nathan K5 LA horn. Those really sound nice, by the way. That's one of my, I think probably one of my favorites horns is the K5 LA. Those are just gorgeous. And likewise, number 6915 coming up next is also going to feature that really nice sounding K5 LA horn. Now, of course, these are available in both DC and DCC with the Tsunami 2. So if you really like that K5 LA, you're probably going to want to spring for that Tsunami 2. Now, later Norfolk Southern rebuilds featured a rectangular cab. If you take a look at the screen here, you can see that the cab windows kind of have a roundish edge to them. Well, the next run of rebuilds, starting with 6920, a little bit different. And let's talk about some of those features. They featured more of a rectangular cab windows, and of course, these had full PTC arrays on the roof. Now, fuel tank sizes, they varied on the rebuilds, anywhere from 3,900 gallons all the way up to 4,800 gallons, depending on the locomotive. Now, the first one I'm showing you here, this is 6920, obviously been photographed a lot by rail fans. This is the veterans unit, and it's going to have a Leslie RS5T horn. Here is 6986. This is going to feature a 4,500 gallon fuel tank, walkway guard with rectangular cutouts. Here is 7,000. 7,000 is also going to have a 4,500 gallon fuel tank, walkway guard with Norfolk Southern horsehead cutouts. That's kind of cool. And last but not least is 7,002. 7,002 is going to have a 3,900 gallon fuel tank, walkway guard with Norfolk Southern horsehead cutouts. So pretty neat. So we're giving you a pretty good, especially you Norfolk Southern guys, this is really a Norfolk Southern locomotive, but it's so different, so cool that we wanted to release it again. They did really well the first time we announced them and subsequent runs after that. So here you go. These are really cool. In fact, I just caught one of these out here in Illinois just a few days ago and snapped a picture of it. Not one that we're offering, though. Now, we did want to do something a little bit different this time, too. And I know a lot of you guys, legendary liveries, it is one of those things where it's very, you either like it or you don't. So for you guys that like legendary liveries, tune in. You guys that aren't into it, hold on a second. We got some stuff for you in a minute. So let's take a walk down an alternate universe real quick. When Norfolk Southern unveiled a series of 20 heritage units back in 2012, painted in faithful renditions of their predecessor roads, the rail fan community rejoiced. However, many of the subject roads featured more than just one famous paint scheme, such as the Central New Jersey's brilliant red Coast Guard scheme, Norfolk Western's distinctive metallic maroon scheme, or the Monon's classic gold and black. Athearn has honored these legendary paint schemes by incorporating them onto our SD60E model with your Norfolk Southern compatible road numbers. So they'll look right at home in your modern layout. So there you go. Here's the first one, the Central New Jersey Heritage Unit. And man, that thing is sharp. I mean, that really wears that well. I'd really like to see that in real life. Here's the Monon. Man, that just looks sharp too. Originally intended for the F units, it really looks nice on the SD60E. And then last but not least, the Norfolk Western. Not the Pelver blue, but that really cool metallic maroon. This is a cool color. You know, honestly, I kind of personally wish Norfolk Southern would go back to either this or the Southern green. But really sharp looking locomotive. And like I said, these are numbered in the correct numbering system so that they would fit within the SD60E Norfolk Southern roster. So you can definitely add these in there and spice things up a little bit. So moving on to some freight cars now. Starting in the 1960s, insulated boxcars started to become more common on most railroads. This type of car was useful for hauling canned goods or other commodities that needed to be protected from temperature extremes. The model depicted here by Athearn Genesis was built by Pacific Car and Foundry and features different side panel construction and door types per the prototype. The car also features a detailed and full brake rating. These things are exceptionally detailed. So here's the Southern Pacific. This is actually from the last run. In fact, if you really like this, these are still in stock. They are just delivered. Contact your dealer if you haven't seen these. These are great. I love these. I've got a few of these from my own layout that I'm building. I like the full detail of the brake details. Really nicely done. Now, next coming up that we're going to be offering for the month of April is BNSF. This will be offered in 3 different road numbers. This depicts the circle cross era of the BNSF, so this will fit in the early 2000s very nicely. Time to do some prime for grime. The prime for grime runs are always really a hit. Now, these are former Golden West cars. They are now owned in this instance by the Denver, Rio Grande, and Western. This is car number 61667 as it appeared in 2008. And I really dig this one because check out the prime for grime look on this. Not only is the paint faded and old, but it's been patched over and there's no stencils used here. They just quickly scribed that on there with some white paint. They did do a little bit more on the ends here, as you can see. But on the sides, they just wanted to get this thing into revenue service. They didn't have time for a fancy paint job. And that's what prime for grime is all about. This one's a little bit neater than the former one. This is how car number 61672 would have appeared in about 2014. And then finally, for this run of prime for grime in the former Golden West paint scheme, 2006 era. This is car 61701. So again, these 3 that I've just shown you, those are prime for grime. Now, you guys that model the Illinois Central, especially in the 1990s, you're going to want to take note of these. I firmly remember these back in the 90s in Illinois. These were very common. And so we're offering them in 3 different road numbers. These, again, these are perfect for you guys that are modeling the 1990s into the early 2000s. Guys with food service and modeling the 1970s, you're going to want to pick up the Nestle car. This is a really cool car. Obviously, 1970s, you got your ACI panel. Really cool paint scheme. And again, if you've got maybe an industry that's a bakery or something of that nature, you can definitely add this to your fleet. We got a few other unique ones. This is Union Pacific, but check out the markings. It's still lettered for Missouri Pacific. This is car number 782500 as it appeared in the 2000s. Now, these were originally Missouri Pacific freight cars. We'll show you that in a minute. This is what they look like in the early 2000s. Here we have, same thing, former Missouri Pacific 782509 in UP paint. And here's a prime for grime version. Seriously faded out. Look at the old Missouri Pacific buzzsaw logo faded out and behind the Union Pacific shield. That's a really cool setup. Of course, they just patched out the original markings, placed their own. This one is better for 2006 on up. Now, if you're a fan of the Missouri Pacific and want yours to be Missouri Pacific, we are offering that version as well as it appeared in the 1970s. Here's car number 780592. So going back to these cars, and these have been extremely popular the last few years, and so that's why we keep offering them. The amount of detail on these cars is the type of car that you're probably going to want to use on your home layout. You probably won't want to take them on a modular type layout. But if you've got a club layout or a home layout, they definitely deserve to be placed on there. Some of the features that these cars have: they're going to have separate wire form grab irons, etched metal coupler platforms, full underframe detail, air brake reservoir, control valve and brake, cylinder with plumbing and brake rod details. They're, of course, weighted to NMRA standards. Trucks will feature animated rotating bearing caps, coupler lift bars, train line hoses, brake hoses, and hardware. Of course, they're going to have metal wheel sets with the RP25 contours. The nice thing about these, especially the Prime for Grime ones, are all accurately painted. Since they are Genesis, they are based on an actual prototype. Minimum radius on these cars, 18 inches, although they still look so much better on a 22-inch radius, so keep that in mind. Prices on these are full MSRP, so contact your dealer to get your price. For the Prime for Grime versions, you're looking at a retail of $54.99. For non-Prime for Grime or factory fresh, you're looking at $49.99. So there you have it. You have until the end of April, the last Friday of April, to place your pre-orders on these items. And actually, one more thing I want to do is I want to go back to the SD60M real quick. I'm going to go back to that really cool picture from the former release. And let me tell you some of the details that we've got on this guy. Put him back up there. Really neat locomotive. So here's some of the features that these SD60Es are going to have. These are Athearn Genesis. And of course, they're going to have MU stands, walkway safety tread, windshield wipers, lift rings, wire grab irons, sanding lines, sunshades, anti-climbers. But here's where it gets really cool with the Genesis. Like I was saying before, that first group of 3, they're going to have the rounded cab windows per the prototype. The second 4 that I showed you, they're going to have the rectangular cab windows. So that's based on the prototype. There's going to be subtle differences there. Depending on the prototype, they're going to have clear or tinted cab windows as appropriate, anti-glare panel painted on the nose, lit number boards. So we got a lighting feature there. We've got the lit number boards now. We've got lit ground lights above the front trucks, illuminated deck-mounted ditch lights, and both on the front and the rear. Long hood mounted Nathan 5-chime horn, or the horn that is specific for the prototype, and step wells with separately applied individual see-through photo etch steps. That's a really cool touch. It really looks nice. Of course, see-through radiator fans, and there's much, much more. I encourage you to go over to our website, athearn.com, click the new releases tab, and check this out and see all the details are included with these. Now, you can get these one of 2 ways. You can get them standard DC. They are MSRP at $269.99, or you can go with the Tsunami 2 sound and decoder. That's going to be $369.99. So if either of these interests you, you're going to want to talk to your dealer. Believe it or not, April's going to be gone before you know it. So go ahead and pick up one of these unique locomotives. So with that, I am going to let you guys get back to it. I've got to get finished and probably at this point hop on another airplane. So hope you guys are all enjoying your evening. Hope you like what you see at the new athearn.com. Keep checking our social media feeds to see where we're going to be next and what we're doing next. Until next time, I want all of you out there to be happy, be healthy, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens, everyone. Good night.